We're in a crisis. I lost the dispute, copyright got me, and now they're age restricting my videos. There's a heat wave happening in the UK, and I don't care what you say, the heat here is diabolical. I feel like I'm dying. Another crisis. Sam's writing skills. Nowhere to be found. Not gonna lie, guys, this might be the best episode of the season so far, but also somehow the worst. Let me explain. The episode is 1 hour and 17 minutes. A lot of plot happens. The convergence, really, of all these loose storylines. And that was great. After all, we need to get the story moving, especially after spending 50% of runtime either on Cassie's breasts or NAZISFUCKING. Do not age restrict this video. This needs to reach the masses. But it might be the worst because huge disservice to several different characters. But one storyline in particular, I cannot believe we waited this long for that. And I kept seeing people say that it was inevitable, and I agree. I just never expected them to do it like that. As you can tell, I'm standing because today I need to move. I am stressed. This episode stressed me the fuck out. But the thing is, you have to earn certain story beats. Like, you can't just keep pulling the rug from under people's feet. You can't make your whole story simply about shocking people. And yet you do, and we keep coming back. So I guess we're the problem. And speaking of coming back, I think I just had an idea on how Euphoria could continue into season 4 in a quite natural progression of the show, if you will. Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. I will save the idea for the end of the video because there is much needed context provided by today's episode that will lead into that idea. And I'll probably regret sharing it. It's not like I'm endorsing the idea or anything, but I feel like as a natural progression of the show, it's genius. Toot toot. And I think it actually is going to happen because in next week's preview, it says on the season finale of Euphoria. What do you mean? Season finale? I thought we'd gone over this. It's supposed to be series finale. They are taunting us. They are threatening us with another season. I thought we had gone over this. I thought that everyone had agreed that season 3 was going to be the last. We just needed some closure on season 2, and that's it. Then season 3 came. There was no closure to anything in season 2. We just opened up a bunch of new storylines that aren't even But, you know, stay until the end to hear the idea and then let me know in the comments down below what you think. But for now, shit's getting real in Euphoria. Like, people start meeting their consequences real fast. And though I tentatively applaud Sam for bringing all these loose threads together, you really have to suspend your disbelief several times to buy what they're selling. Not only very tangible things that you can literally look up yourself on the internet, but also character decisions that, once again, just don't make sense. What is the point of giving characters backstory and then building them up to be certain someone only for you to completely disregard everything because you need the plot to move in a certain direction? Sam, come on. Like, it's stressing me out. I'm starting to sweat. All this to say, episode 7 was fucking insane, and I feel like the finale is gonna be even worse. So let's dive right in, right after you subscribe down below, because it'll make you feel better and look better and smell better. The pros are endless. This episode's backstory is on Ali, and I genuinely had to Google what we've been told about him in seasons 1 and 2 because it's been that damn long. There's a couple of drug benders with a woman played by Natasha Lyonne. When I saw Natasha, I said no thank you. Why don't we let her go back to her AI company to keep doing AI movies? Yes, that happened. Actually, I'm not done because there's a lot of established actors and actresses right now with long careers and a lot of money, like Reese Witherspoon, who's literally got a fountain of money with her own production company, who for some reason are now saying that we should work with AI, that we should incorporate it in our work. AI isn't inherently evil. It depends on how you use it. Miss me with a because it's getting real exhausting to see artists just going on interviews and saying like, we need to use AI because everybody else is. It's about developing these technologies and these platforms. It's about the tools and what they help us to achieve. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Back to Euphoria. We actually see the event where Ali lost his cool and beat up his wife in front of his daughters, which was one thing that I think he mentioned in the TV special. His father was an addict and used to hit his mom, and he had promised himself never to do that, only to literally end up doing exactly the same. So Ali eventually goes into NA meetings and he turns his life around, and he decides that his mission in life is to turn his past mistakes into blessings. And along that mission, he ended up sponsoring a lot of people, many of whom didn't make it, especially with the pandemic. Isolation exacerbated people's habits, people's vices, and he saw a lot of people go. And Allie kept a little notebook with all of their names and the dates of their passing. And the list is quite long, so Allie definitely knows loss. All of this tells us that Allie's life and mission is to save people, and he will most likely give his life to save Rue. But on to the main story. The money manager who got shot is out of the hospital and is tasked to do the drug run with one of Laurie's men. And he now has a colostomy bag due to the extensive damage from the gunshot wound. And Alamo points to it grossed out. Someone very close to me had a colostomy bag for many years before they passed away, so to see this just cheap, gratuitous mockery of a life-saving procedure that is probably more common than you think, it pissed me off. There isn't a cheap shot that Sam won't take. Elsewhere, Rue is with Lexi, and she's going on about her religious rants. Her latest development has to do with a Joshua tree that was on fire. Remember last episode? I did say that that probably had something to do with the Bible, and I guess it's God guided Moses from Egypt to the motherland or the promised land, and then somehow he didn't end up there. But Lexi has no time because Lexi has to write that storyline for the character Cassie's playing in LA Nights. So Rue keeps yapping, and Lexi gets increasingly frustrated and annoyed until Rue says she's evil, which Lexi disagrees with, because despite all of her reprehensible behaviors, evil is a very strong word. So to prove a point, I guess, stupid, Rue tells her that she's been working with Nazis, who introduced her to a black cowboy, and then she went undercover and is now working with the DEA, which is one of the biggest blessings that has ever come to her life. What the fuck is wrong with you? Lexi reaches the only logical conclusion hearing this deranged train of thought and says, oh, you're using again. And that pisses Rue off. She's like, what? No, why the fuck would you say that? And Lexi's like, I'm sorry, but I just don't believe you. So Rue flips out. She's like, fuck you for sitting there and judging me this entire time. And Lexi, ooh, fuck me? No wonder your mom doesn't talk to you anymore. And this whole interaction leads Rue to knock on Cassie's door after she sees someone peeking through the blinds. But on the other side of the door is a gun pointed directly at her head. You must be wondering what the hell happened after Cassie closed her OnlyFans account without even speaking to her business manager and receiving Nate's severed finger and the note, answer the phone. Cassie, meet consequences. After a brief conversation with Naz where he lays out that she needs to give him money or Nate's fucked, Cassie tries recovering her OnlyFans account, but she can't, and Rue says some things are permanent. And I'd like to disagree. I've looked this up and it seems like when you delete the account, it gives you a 30-day window during which the account will become inactive or deactivated, but recoverable. And that's because of how subscriptions work. You can't immediately delete your account if there are active subscriptions to it. So for her to terminate the account permanently, either she's waited the 30 days, which we know is not true, or she'd have to clear her entire subscriber base first, which we also know she didn't do because she literally went there, clicked delete account, and that's it. And I'm not an expert on OnlyFans, but honestly, neither is Sam. But if you are, or if you know more about OnlyFans than I do, or if you have an OnlyFans account, if anyone out there knows more, please let me know in the comments down below. Is it really possible for her to just completely wipe out all of her data in one click? Then Sharon Stone talks to one of the shareholders of LA Nights who is concerned that they're going too authentic with the casting of an actual sex worker to play a sex worker and tells her, just hire an actress. And Sharon's like, you know what? I agree. So she calls Lexi and tells her the storyline she wrote is great and they're going to use it, but they can't use Cassie. So she tasks Lexi to tell Cassie that she's no longer in LA Nights. And Lexi is super happy to do it because she's probably had enough of all of her fucking crazy friends. But that means Cassie deleted her OnlyFans for no reason. Then Maddie's boss gets wind of Maddie sending one of her porno people to audition for the role in LA Nights and promptly fires her and tells her good luck being a modern day madam. Little does she know she's right. Am I sweating? I feel like I'm melting in here. My God, I'm hype. Oh, I pulled a hammy. I think I just pulled a muscle, guys. And then Maddie finds out that Cassie deleted her account. So she goes to her place and finds her in a fetal position on the bathroom floor, sobbing, crying hysterically. Every opportunity, Cassie is further infantilized by the show. Okay. First, Maddie slaps her. Kinda deserved. And then she comes very close to turning into Alamo, or, like her previous boss said, a modern day madam. And she says, you're gonna work. You're not gonna bitch. You're not gonna moan. You're gonna listen to every motherfucking word that comes out of my mouth. You're not gonna blink without permission. Your world is mine. And I'm not your manager. I'm your boss, bitch. Interesting dynamic. Okay. I mean, it's not like it's unexpected that Maddie would turn into this type of working woman. I guess going down the line of business that she was going, Maddie is slowly turning into an Alamo. They can't get the account back, so Maddie arranges for Cassie to go on a date with Dylan, who still feels bad that Cassie was fired from LA Nights. She then calls the paparazzi to catch them leaving the restaurant. And it works. Cassie then takes the plan further and she takes Dylan home, seduces him, which by the way proves incredibly easy. All she has to do is literally exist. Like half the flirting is about how big her breasts are and how much people underestimated her when she got them. Like it was a gift that God just sent her from up above. Dylan says it's the same with fame. Aw, being hot and famous is like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because obviously you're hot and famous, but it's a curse because that's all people see. Aww. Cassie then curls up next to him and takes a couple of selfies on his phone before seducing him into the bedroom, where they hardcore. Guys, they're going at it. It sounds like an earthquake, and she's riding him screaming, "I'm gonna come again!" And he's literally begging her, "Please stop coming, I need water." He had to beg her to stop coming and get off of him. He couldn't take it. It sounds like she's torturing him, but like she's just riding him like, you know one of those like mechanic bulls that you just have to hold on for dear life? She is somehow riding the bull, but is also the bull. But it makes sense because she wants him tired and dehydrated so that when he goes to the kitchen to get some water, she grabs his phone and posts a photo on Instagram of them too with a caption, "World's greatest Meanwhile, Dylan is in the kitchen and he scoops some ice from the freezer, fills it up with water, and starts drinking it, not realizing that Nate's finger is literally in the glass. Cassie then hides his phone under the mattress and spoons him because he's too drunk to go home. 7 hours later, Maddie shows up at her apartment. Cassie gets up, Dylan is still asleep in bed, still hasn't seen the picture that she posted, and Maddie brings the good news that she now has 109,366 subscribers. Oh my fucking God. I've been going at it for 2.5 years and she does it in 7 hours. Okay, you want me to crash out? And Maddie's like, "How the hell did you get him to post that?" And Cassie's like, "Oh, he doesn't know. I just seduced him, fucked him, distracted him, posted it, and then we went to sleep." And Maddie's impressed. And I'm thinking, do we really believe that Cassie came up with that all by herself? Let's be honest, she's not the brightest crayon in the box, right? And the way they giggle about it, like she probably ruined his career. If you're gonna do this to men, at least go after the ones that deserve it. Like that TikToker. Fucking disgusting. That's when Maddie realizes there's a fucking finger in the glass. So Cassie decides to tell her the truth. And cut to Nate, who Naz has been holding hostage for a while now. And Naz tells him that Cassie hasn't sent them a dime since the last time he spoke to her on the phone. And despite Nate's pleas that she got the message and she will come through, Naz feels like she needs more motivation. Oh God. So he asks Nate's height. 6'5"? Ooh, big boy. 6'5" means they have to get a custom coffin for him. Yep. I said coffin. And I keep thinking there must have been opportunities for Nate to get a weapon and defend himself. Isn't that the whole purpose of guns in America with 3Ks? Also, how easily is it to get in so much trouble over a loan that you're literally kidnapped, tortured, and killed and nobody notices you're missing? The business was legit. Cal ran it for years. I feel like this was just the easiest way to get this storyline done. Nate getting in trouble and... you'll see. What the hell are people doing in the USA that everything turns into life or death situation? And I'm not just talking about loans, because there's also the whole like paying for hospital bills or even being able to afford operations that can save your life that anywhere else in the world you could just get for free. But there you have to go broke or just not have them and die.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
But also, Nate is like a privileged white guy who's got a lot of family. He's been gone for God knows how long, and no one does a thing to try and find him. All right, bet. Well, Rue finally confides in Allie and tells him everything that's been going on. And I mean everything. And now the plan seemingly is, while they go down to Mexico, Rue's gonna go to Lori's, pretend to steal Alamo's stuff back, and then in the morning, the police will arrest everyone and she'll be free. Like it'd ever be that easy. But Allie doesn't want her to go. And his whole life has now been dedicated to helping others. And he says, only reason I'm still here is so I can do some good in this world. Be of service. I show up, rain or shine. And if someone's forcing you to do something against your will, I got a 12-gauge shotgun that can take care of that. And I really like Ali's character. And I like how he uses religion and faith to actually help people and do good. You know, instead of using religion and weaponizing it against people to shame them, to manipulate them or to deceive them. He uses it for good, which is the entire fucking point of having faith. Rue is still having her religious illusions, now convinced that God spoke to her the same way that he spoke to Moses. Okay. Her plan is to go back to that homestead in Texas from episode 1 once Lori and Alamo are all in prison, because the homestead is in Jerusalem Road, Texas, Jerusalem Promised Land. And after talking, Allie convinces Rue to stay, because the only way to redeem the evil that she has done is to start by changing herself. But in the middle of the night, she leaves him a note that says, "Forgive me," and heads over to Lori's in the morning to handle business. Allie gave it a good try, but it wasn't enough. Allie, I keep calling him Allie. Is it Ali? Wait, I think his name comes from Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. Ali. That's his name, not Ali. English is like my third language, so give me a break. It actually is. The DEA have a meeting, and the plan is to allow the van, Gold Rush Medical Services, to cross the border without interference. Reminder, they're carrying 80 kilos of fentanyl, and that is 176 pounds or 12.6 stone. That's a lot. They're also carrying 2 civilians. Kitty likes to dance and this other random girl, because they're going down to get surgery. Kitty's getting a new butt and she's really excited about it. And Rue gives herself a bloody nose so she can go to Lori's and claim that Alamo tried to kill her and hopefully get back on her good graces. At least for the night. Quick side note before I forget, but the music in this episode especially particularly diabolical. What the hell? And we've gone through so many audio identities this season so far that I've just stopped paying attention. They don't really irk me anymore. But this episode, there was a point where I was like, what the fuck were we listening to? Who's in charge? And it's annoying that I can't even show you, because if HBO is on my ass over visuals, imagine audio. They'd skin me alive. There's no defined identity. It's just an amalgamation of different genres clashing, which is what's happening with the storyline. So I guess in a way it's kind of genius that it's so bad. Maybe that was the plan. So Rue is now at Lori's, but judging by her outfit, she was with Lexi before, when she blurted out that she's working with Nazis, black cowboys, and the DEA. So Rue left Ollie and then went to Lexi's to vent, and then headed to Lori's to handle business. Why would she swing by Lexi's house before going to Lori's? It doth not make sense, but like there's no other day when she could have gone. And I find it weird because we saw Rue and Lexi's interaction earlier in the episode, but that was like before we even got to the point of the show where she gets to go to Don't piss me off. So the gun that was on the other side of the door at Cassie's apartment. Cassie was rating phalluses on her OnlyFans when Naz's muscle monster showed up at her house and slammed her against a glass table. It's very aggressive. He even drags her on the floor and gets her arm all sliced up. Unnecessary. She's then tied up and told that she has 72 hours to come up with $1 million. Why 72 hours? Because that's how long it takes for someone to die of dehydration. No, it's not Cassie. No. It's Nate. Yeah. Where is Nate? I'm glad you asked. So remember the land where they couldn't build the development because of the white fertilaries? Well, they buried him alive. He's buried like 6 feet under with a really long pipe connecting the coffin to the surface so he can get some oxygen. It's kind. At least he's not going to asphyxiate. He's just going to dehydrate, which is arguably worse, I think. Maddie then calls Lexi looking for Cassie, but Cassie's disgusted over what they did to Dylan. Maddie's like, stop being so dramatic. And Lexi, I feel like spoke for the audience. She says, I don't understand what happened to you, your conscience. It's like you all lost your minds. You, Cassie, Rue. So you know what this means, right? I had to sit down because, can you see me? Hi. Sam knows what the fuck he's doing, right? Here he is telling us that they all lost their minds, which is what I've been saying, which is what everyone has been saying, mind you. These characters lost their minds. And I'm about to lose mine as well because, and this is exactly why you keep your mouth shut, Maddie says, oh, Rue's always been crazy. And Lexi goes, not like this. She was just here ranting about Nazis, black cowboys, and working for the DEA. Are you serious? Great. It's spreading like wildfire. But you know what? It's Rue's fault. She should have kept her mouth shut. At least she's saying it to Maddie, right? If we can trust anyone to keep their mouth shut, to mind their business, it's Maddie, right? Right? Like a manager once told me, stop this nonsense. My blood is boiling. Speaking of boiling blood, remember how Nate was buried alive? He's still there. And his brother shows up looking for him and everything, and he's on a phone to someone. So naturally, Nate waits until he is far enough from the pipe to start screaming for help. His brother was like right above the pipe, and Nate was like, And then as soon as his brother moves away far enough that he can no longer hear him, That's when Nate starts pleading for help. Okay. Sure. Like, if we want to take Nate out so bad, let's do it right? No, wrong. You're fucking wrong. Oh, but also, I guess I'm the jackass for thinking that nobody was looking for them, right? Here's his brother. One person, remember that you exist, Nate. Woo! And then a rattlesnake casually slithers its way close to the pipe. Nate, super delusional and dehydrated, sees movement and starts thanking God for saving him. No, man. Oh, Nate. Like we say in Portuguese, quem te viu e quem te vê, which is a way of saying how you've changed. But I mean it derogatory this time, because Nate, God's not coming to save you. Also, trigger warning, claustrophobia and snakes. If you're afraid of snakes, like my mom, go away. The snake, for some reason, slithers its way down the pipe, and then it's just Nate and the snake in the coffin. He's terrified, dehydrated, exhausted. It looks like he's been run over by life 10,000 times. And after a few very tense moments in a very claustrophobic space, the snake lunges at him and it cuts to a different scene. I had to Google this because where I come from, we don't have rattlesnakes. In fact, in my entire life, I've only ever seen 2 snakes in person, and they were both really small and non-venomous, so like no danger at all. But rattlesnakes, as it turns out, are quite venomous, in case you didn't know. But if treated properly, the bites are rarely fatal. They also only bite when threatened or provoked. Maybe it felt threatened down there with just Nate Jacobs in a closed space. I know I would. Right? You gotta swing first before they swing at you. Smart snake. And this is where I'm like torn. Wouldn't Nate Jacobs, when faced with literal death, do something? Anything to try and save himself? Maybe try and grab the snake by the head or fight it somehow. And I get that he's dehydrated and exhausted and really weak, but I expected more of a fight from a literal toddler. But also, we didn't even see him actually get bitten. It cuts away before the fangs, like, let's wait and see what happened. Let's wait and see. I fucking know what happened. Back to Cassie, and she calls Maddie so Naz can speak to her. And he gives her 2 options. Bring him $1 million, or he starts slicing her face. And this got me thinking that 2 episodes ago, Cassie was really close to start bringing in $1 million a month. So even though she wasn't bringing $1 million a month, she was close to it, right? 700,000, 800,000. I feel like there's been enough time for her to at least have been able to save $1 million. You'd think so, right? Because it's not like she's living in a huge mansion or traveling internationally. She's just buying a large assortment of objects that she can have intimate fun with. I'm really trying to get this video not to be age restricted. All this to say, it's not like she's been spending all of her money, so I'd expect her to have $1 million on the side, but apparently not, because Maddie has to then go to Alamo for help. And to even grant her a meeting, he makes her get into a bathing suit and meet him at the jacuzzi. And he's super sleazy, and it's heavily implied that Maddie has to use her body to convince him to help her. So everyone is doing sex work, really. Like, literally everyone, except for Lexi. This is almost like a wake-up call. Maddie is slowly realizing that she might have gotten herself into deep shit, not only with Cassie, but also with Alamo, a supposed business partner who, at the very first opportunity, reduces her to nothing more than a pretty body for him to enjoy. Yep. I just think it's brilliant there's no middle ground here. She goes from assistant talent manager to managing OnlyFans girls to now being in bed with the sex trafficking king of the United States, apparently. Pin on that, because during this conversation, Maddie commits the cardinal sin I expected her, of all people, to never commit. Alamo says he's stressed, pent up. He even has Rue handling business out there. So Maddie says, oh, so that's why she's been so overwhelmed. Alamo says, how so? She got in a huge fight with one of our friends. Over what? Nazis and, I don't know, the DEA? Maddie, what the f? Maddie, what the f? Maddie, what the f? Maddie, what the f? Because Alamo says nothing, but the brief glance that he throws at her, he knows. He knows he's not stupid. The only people apparently that are stupid in this show is everyone who shouldn't be stupid. They got to Maddie. They made Maddie dumb. Why would Maddie ever... She heard black cowboys, Nazis, DEA. She's met Alamo. She's seen how terrified of him Rue is. She didn't think to consider, oh, maybe black cowboys refers to Alamo. Therefore, if there's Nazis and the DEA involved, maybe I should just zip it. Zip it! How has no one connected the dots here and realized that Alamo is trafficking women? Maddie's supposed to be the smart one. How has she not put 2 and 2 together and be like, maybe I should just keep my mouth fucking shut around him, especially because they've been working for at least a few weeks together now, and she has seen how very strict and intimidating Alamo is. Don't be this! And Rue is just hanging out with the Nazis, and they are dancing around the fire and shooting their guns, and woohoo, it's a party. Rue then gives them a very earnest speech about how she's tired of lying, and she's been lying her entire life, and she just wanted to pay them back. She never wanted any of this to happen, and she says that she's on their side. Remember that she only needs to buy herself until the morning, right? She doesn't need to get on Laurie's good graces forever. She just needs them not to kill her until sunrise. And they're not even that mad because all the troubles that Rue caused them, one, she brought Faye, who's now engaged to Wayne, and he's super happy with her. But also the fact that she got into trouble with Alamo is the reason why they were able to get their foot up his ass so far. So good. So thanks to her. So like she allowed them to. So they're not too mad at her, but there's still going to be a punishment, and they discuss what the punishment should be for treason. Could be death. Laurie suggests doing to her what Alamo does to the women and sending her down to get surgeries and then selling her to some old And Rue's like, is that what Alamo does? Yo, what the hell? Does Rue also not know that Alamo's trafficking women? Have we all been sleepwalking through this fucking show? Has Rue been sleepwalking through her life? She's been in the club. She's met the women. She's seen them getting abused on camera. She's driven one of them to a rehab facility that she never came back from. And she's still asking, is that what Alamo does? Like, what are we doing? That is not a rhetorical question. I would love an answer. Why are they so brain dead? Nobody knows anything. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Deixamos todos o cérebro no caralho que não conseguimos pensar por 2 segundos que seja. Só preciso 2 segundos para chegar à conclusão que ele anda a traficar mulheres, está a vendê-las e vocês não... Ai, é isso que ela não faz. Burras! Idiotas! Estou farto, não me f***. I did like how one of the guys told Rue that all of her lies eventually became blessings, which mirrors what Ollie said about wanting to turn all of his past mistakes into blessings. And when I say mirrors it, obviously in a very perverted way. Eventually though, after taunting her with threats of killing her, Wayne says that she should be the one to kill Alamo the next day. Everyone agrees and he slices her hand open as a sort of forced contract that she has to accept. And then the explosive finale. Not gonna lie, this episode had me on the edge of my seat, and there are 2 parts to this explosive finale. First up, Alamo puts the money together in a suitcase and drives with Maddie to meet Cassie and Naz at the development location where they can't build it. Naz and his bodyguard bring out Cassie. Maddie goes out with a suitcase. Alamo stays back in the car, loading his gun. And then Naz opens the suitcase and he's like, is this a fucking joke? Because there's no money in there. And then bang, Alamo shoots him in the chest. The bodyguard pulls his gun, but he can't see Alamo, so he has no choice but to surrender. As Naz gargles his last words on the blood that he's choking on right now. And then Alamo finishes him with a quick shot. And it's so diabolical to see Maddie and Cassie just witness all of this. Like, last season, they were literally in high school fighting on stage because of the play that Alexia wrote. And now they're watching Alamo kill Naz after he kidnapped Nate and kept him hostage for God knows how long. And then while the bodyguard digs Nate back up, Maddie and Alamo have a quick chat. Maddie is surprised he managed to get Cassie back for free because there was no money in the suitcase. But Alamo tells her just because she thinks he has a soft spot for her doesn't mean that he would do this shit for free. Which means even though he didn't have to spend $1 million to get Cassie back, you best believe he's gonna make a lot more than that once he's done with them. So Maddie's life is also in the complete shitter dumpster thanks to Cassie. But wait, there's more! Because they finally dig up the coffin only to open it and find Nate's corpse. Yep. Nate's dead. Nate's dead. Nate's dead. Nate's dead. And honestly, until the very end, I kind of held on to not hope, but the belief that Nate was somehow going to be alive because it just felt like such a disservice to have him go out bitten by a snake after being buried alive, after doing nothing all season. And I was wrong. He's just dead. Like, gruesomely dead. Like, his corpse looks awful. We waited 4 years for this? 4 years just so Nate can be a cucked loser who gets beaten, tortured, and killed by a snake bite after getting buried alive. Like, did not try and fight back. Could have gotten a gun after his wedding night. Could have gotten a knife when he saw the guy headed in his direction at the house. but he just never did. He just always just what the fuck is that? What the? Because on one hand, Nate was the worst. So him dying, not that big of a loss. Also not that sad. But the way that he goes and everything he's given to do this season, it's like Jacob specifically asked to have very little to nothing to do in this show this year, and it shows. Genuinely thought that there was going to be a bit of a fight, maybe a bit of a struggle. Maybe Nate was going to somehow take one of them with him, but no, he's wow. Can't we can't we? Derogatory. So Nate's dead, and now Cassie and Maddie are besties to enemies to business partners to trafficked besties. What the fuck? And lastly, to wrap up this episode, back at Lori's crew, Faye is mad at Wayne because what he did to Rue's hand was fucked up. So Wayne tells her of what the Nazis used to do to SS recruits as an elaborate way of telling her what he's gonna make her do. They would get puppies at the beginning of training, be forced to raise them, love them, care for them, and then at the end of training, they'd have to kill them. And he's now gonna make Faye kill Rue the next day. He's gonna make Faye kill Rue the next day. Oh, the next day. Faye is gonna have to kill Rue away the next day. Oh, Faye is gonna have to blow Rue away. Blow her away today when you see Rue Faye. He's gonna make Faye put Rue down like a dog. So Faye, in the middle of the night, wakes up Rue and tells her, we have to go because they're going to execute you and they're going to make me do it and I don't want to do it. So let's just empty the vault and run away with everything, including the money. So they open the vault only to find no money in there. And I do remember saying that they didn't just steal money from Alamo's safe. They must have stolen something much more valuable. And I was right. It's all the IDs and passports and documentation belonging to all of the women that Alamo has trafficked. And Rue doesn't recognize them all, meaning that a lot of these passports and IDs belong to women that are probably dead. She does find Angel's ID there, and I'm starting to think that Angel really is dead. That Bishop is not working for the police and that she hasn't been saved by anyone. I mean, we know that she's not coming back this season. Oh, Angel. The problem is Rue kind of promised that Faye could keep the money that was in the vault in exchange for Faye's help. And now Faye's like, you lied to me. You lied to me. Everyone lies to me. I'm tired of being lied to. I can't believe that I trusted you. And then at the very end, she screams at the top of her lungs, Wayne! And the episode ends. The episode ends mid-screen, and all we have left is the season finale. In case any y'all think it's the series finale, it's not. It's another season is coming. Which brings me to predictions for next week's episode. I really think that Allie will somehow come and save Rue, sacrifice his life, and Rue is going to get a second chance at living her life free from all of her past mistakes after he dies. So it's almost like metaphorically his life will transfer to hers, like all of the opportunities he has ahead. He's going to sacrifice all of that and going to save her. Anyone else, I genuinely don't know how it's going to go. I also don't want to think about it too much because I don't think Sam did either when he wrote all of this. So but the theory that I have for the continuation to season 4, there's actually 2, but they all play into the same kind of trope. Season 4 would follow Maddie and Cassie, and I was imagining either Maddie and Cassie both being trafficked and then both trying to escape that life, or Maddie somehow taking over Alamo's business once he is in prison and making it sort of like, making it more girl boss feminist yes. You know, like she hires girls, but like gives them time off and maybe asks them if they want to do it rather than just forcing them into it. Or even seeing Maddie slowly turn into someone like Alamo and Cassie, I don't know, doing something related to it at least. I think that would be a natural progression of the show. I think they've been setting up at least Sydney Sweeney to carry the torch because she's in every fucking scene, every fucking storyline. And now with Maddie getting more and more prominent and more screen time as well. What do we think? Do we want Euphoria to come back with these two? Guess what? Don't matter what we think. They're going to do it anyway. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to leave it a like down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Click the bell notifications so you never miss a future upload from me. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys. Anyone who's Portuguese will know this song. Falésia do amor, vertigem, magia em mim. Come on! Okay, bye!